Today I'm reviewing Hartford Stage's production of Romeo and Juliet, written by William Shakespeare, directed by Melia Bensussen, running through May 18th at Hartford Stage at 50 Church Street in Hartford, Connecticut. It would be a tragedy to not consider visiting my Patreon page, where you can, for as little as $1 a month, support my work here as well as my classic cinema podcast, Yesterday's Matinee. You get early access to the latest episode of Yesterday's Matinee and quick reviews of my reviews that I do here, as well as the occasional other goodie. Thank you to my current patrons, especially my Neo and Hamilton tier patrons, and welcome to the new ones. Well, here we are with a second review of Romeo and Juliet this season, the first one being the Sand Gold production on Broadway from last fall. Well, if the Broadway production left you feeling a bit cold from all the wild antics, brutal gushings of blood, and unique musical insertions, Hartford Stage's production is far more traditional than that. Still, that doesn't mean that Hartford Stage's production is in any way unoriginal. On the contrary, Bensussen has assembled a gorgeous show with an overall excellent cast led by Niall Cunningham and Carmen Berkeley in the title roles. Relocating Shakespeare to new places and times is a common occurrence, and this production is no different, with Bensussen moving the tragedy from Verona, Italy to Mexico. The time is relatively vague, but appears to be anywhere between the late 18th to late 19th century. The costumes by Fabian, Fidel, Aguilar breathe extra life into the characters with color and flair, making what our modern view would consider to be traditional feel like it is fresh and new to the time. The Day of the Dead style masks were appropriately foreshadowing during the Capulet masquerade ball as well. Their place in the costumes of the play is really smart. What thrilled me about this production of Romeo and Juliet, well, there were multiple things, but one thing in particular was that Bensussen found the humor in a tragedy that often has its humor downplayed for the sake of flowery romanticism. It's something oft missed in Shakespeare's tragedies when, in reality, there is a lot of funny lines happening throughout the dialogue. Look at my review of Eddie Izzard's production of Hamlet that I did about a year ago. Incredibly funny. And here, yes, sure, Mercutio, here played by Alejandra Escalante, and Benvolio, played by Juan Arturo, get a lot of the play's more body humor, but there's more to it than that. Even the iconic balcony scene is laced with the humor of two teenagers unsure of their emotions as they slowly approach each other for their iconic vow of adoration. It's there, it's in the dialogue. You just have to embrace it, and the cast does that. Now, I'm lauding this, but amping up the humor in a tragedy did have one significant drawback, which was that, at least in the night I was in attendance, the audience became a little too comfortable with it at times, and were laughing at inappropriate moments, like they were too conditioned by that point, and began to misconstrue lines as humorous when by acts 4 and 5 the humor has really run its course. It's not like the actors were playing the lines for laughs at this point, they weren't. But the audience seemed to have gotten a little too comfortable. Most of the performances are excellent. Now, Cunningham and Juan Arturo in particular are fantastic together as the inseparable Romeo and Benvolio. They exude the spirit of two friends who have known each other all their lives. Carmen Berkeley is also great as Juliet, though she is loaded with most of the play's more flowery dialogue that can come off a bit hammy. She keeps it just on this side of teenage dreamy versus over saccharine, and her and Niall Cunningham are adorable together. Eva Kaminsky is appropriately fiery as Lady Capulet, bursting with rage in one beat before turning with passion in the next. The real hidden gem of the show, though, is Carmen Lasavita, who is amazing as Friar Lawrence. I've never seen Friar Lawrence's monologue in Act 3, Scene 3, where he's chastising Romeo for his despair, performed so voraciously, with such passion. I loved it. It took a scene that is often forgotten and really brought it forward and drew attention like I've never seen it done before. Some of the other performances were a bit mixed, particularly with the nurse, played by Anne-Marie Kelly, and Lords Capulet and Montague, played respectively by Gerardo Rodriguez and Michael Samuel Kaplan. It's not that their performances were bad, just some of their respective scenes felt incomplete in parts, like they needed another week of rehearsals to tighten things up. Maybe not even a week, just a couple days. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Christopher and Justin Swader's amazing scenic design, coupled with Dan Kotlowitz's lighting. The flats and platforms that make up the stage are painted with classic Catholic symbology done in a subtle, textured way that allows for specific elements to come forward depending on what focus and color Kotlowitz is using in his lighting. So at one moment, there may be two hands with their fingertips touching that can be a part of the scene. And the next moment, those hands fade to draw attention to more skeletal impressions, or the next, crows or ravens flying across the sky. And when those moments are spotlighted, the other elements disappear. It all evokes specific emotional value to each scene in a beautiful marriage of two art forms that are rarely done so well together. I thought I was done with Romeo and Juliet for the time being. I was not a fan of the musical and Juliet. I thought the Broadway revival this season was daring but not amazing. And this is the second production of the play at Hartford Stage in under 10 years. But I love being proved wrong in the right way, and Bensussen and Hartford Stage has made me glad to return to Verona yet again for the 2 hours as traffic of our stage. But I'm only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you'd like to see Romeo and Juliet, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get tickets. Also in the description will be links to my Patreon, podcast links, and social media where you can support my work. You can also support me by liking and sharing this review, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be the Broadway production of Stranger Things, The First Shadow. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.